In this next video in the series, I'll show you how to use Kiro to do a task. So this is the task that I've decided to use. I wanted quite a complicated one just to show you the potential use and process. So this is to add a daily stand-up and focus today module to the system. So I've given it a little bit of a brief here. It's adding a new feature for the habit tracker. So I've given it a bit of a brief here that I want some smiley face ratings to get a feel for the staff user's mood. After that, I've briefed it a little bit on what I want the process to do. Finally, I've just mentioned that I want a report as well from it. So that is the brief, so we're going to use that, and let me just show you the process. I have GitHub open, so I'm going to create a new branch. So this new branch here, and we'll call it daily stand up. So I'm creating the branch, and I'm publishing the branch. Okay, so that bit's done. Next up, I've opened up the folder for the site inside Kiro. So hopefully you've already seen the video of how to set up Kiro, and hopefully you've seen the video of how to set everything else up. So I have a file tree on my left here. In the middle here will be the code, whichever file is opened for review. And then on the right hand side we have two modes. We have a vibe mode for doing really tiny tasks and maybe just asking it to tweak. And then the spec mode for building new features. Being such a new feature, I'm obviously going to choose the spec mode. I'm pasting in my brief, and we'll just give Kiro a moment just to realize that this is a new feature, and it has. It's recognized as a new feature, and so it's asking me, do I want to fix a bug or build a new feature, and it's recommending build a feature. So I'm going to choose that. Now it does give us the option to start with the design and work back. But in almost all cases, I'd recommend starting with the requirements. So how Kiro works is it's just going to invoke a context gatherer, so that would be a low-powered model. That low model will just search through the files and find the correct files, and it'll build a bit of a list of which files are needed to be reviewed, and then it'll start building some requirements for us. Okay, so as you can see, it worked through most of the files. It's come up with a requirements flow. So you'll see here it defines various terms. So low mood threshold, for instance, is a mood rating of 1 or 2. You'll see here focus screen, third screen. So it will go through user story based criteria. So that's what we've set it up to do. So it will go through each type of user, how the user's journey is. You are supposed to read all this. I'm at a point now where with this particular model, I do trust it quite a lot, and so I don't typically read all of the requirements. I will typically just trust it and then fully test it before anything is deployed. So I'm going to continue to the next stage. You can just do the design and then approve it, and then it will do the task, or you can do design and task. What it will actually do is it will try doing the tasks and then realize that we have it mandatory that we have design, so it will then do the design first. Now, being such a large collection of features, it's actually taken quite a while. It's actually still finishing the task list, but what it's creating here is a design document. This here we'll just talk through what it's trying to create. So here is the architecture, for instance. So it's just using our existing, it scanned the system, it knows that this is a Codename free system, MVC, and so it's just creating a little bit of a breakdown of how it's going to work. It's then made some decisions, it's defined the models. It's extended some existing modules, the controllers, so there's 2 new controllers, and then there's an edit to an existing one. Then we've got some views here as well. So it's just breaking down how it's going to do it. And then finally, once the task is finished in the next few seconds, Looks like it's just checking them. It's then created the task list. So if I just scan down through the task list, now any development on Kiro CRM is a little bit more difficult because there are some migrations to run, and there's a few things that need to be taken care of. But as far as I'm aware, all Kiro CRM development will be done by myself anyway, so I'll always keep an eye on that kind of stuff. But let's say this was a customer site. This is a good time just to sense check through the tasks. You'll see that some of them are grayed out, so it's saying that these are optional. If you wanted to do these, you can just click the button here and make them required. These are kind of like extra tests, really, just to test each function individually. In general, it will include, at the end, this is a lot of work. So a couple of checkpoints just to make sure all the test passes, so it will create some automated testing as we go. And then right at the end, there will typically be another round of testing. Yeah, there's one there. There's not that many tests on this one, but there will be some automated testing throughout, so it will create some test files that you can run whenever you want to, just to check that everything works how it should. So it will test entering data, for instance. Okay, so I'm going to allow it to run all tasks, and we'll see what we get. Okay, so it's all finished. So the next thing is to test the code. So these are all the amends that it's done. A lot of amends. It's created some new files. These green ones are new files. And then there's lots of edited files, etc. as we go. So we need to exclude these spec files from the repo. So you can actually just ignore the either the .kiro, or you can just ignore the folder. So if I just choose this one, for instance here, sorry, it's playing me up because I've selected more than one. If I just ignore the folder and the .kiro, that will be problem solved. So these files here, if you're using a dev URL, using the dev server, you can just upload these and test on the dev server. If you are working with a live site, then obviously you should test it locally. So hopefully you've got a local version of the site and you can test them on there. Now, one of the things you can ask the AI to do, which I have in this instance, once it had finished, I just asked it to give me a button to trigger it. So for instance, for this one, the pop-up only shows once every morning, so I need a way of testing it. So it's going to give me a button hovering down on the right. I can click that to test. And then once I'm done, Kiro will hide that button. In this case, all the files were in a module, and it's a module that we don't actively use, so I'm actually just testing on the live site. So I've got this new button, test check-in, so I'm just going to click that and just see what happens. In this case, nothing happens, so I can go back to the AI and tell it just that. I try and give it some useful information, like is there any errors in the console, is there any errors in the log, for instance, and see what it says. The AI just noticed the error instantly and fixed it in a couple of seconds. So I've now got this step 1 of 4. That's because I have a habit tracker. So I could skim through that. I will skim through that now. Second stage, it then asked me to click on the face that represents my mood. That doesn't work very well, so again I'm going to feed that back to the AI, so I'll just take a note on that, and again I will just have a quick look at the console, see if there's any errors. There's no errors. Have a quick look, in this case, at the content here and just see if I get a clue. So mood icon, yeah, it's supposed to be a little frowny face, but there's not. It's fair enough. So I'll just feed that back to the AI now. Next on the what do you achieve, and put text test, and for some reason it's showing no clocked tasks on my last working day, so that's another error. So I'll copy that into the AI now. Go to the next stage, and what is your focus for today? So obviously I can select some from here. So it appears to have maybe added some tasks that aren't mine, because I don't know what that one is. and yeah, the rest of these seem fine. So let's say my my focus for today is turning test mode off. It's not letting me click that, so that's another error. I'm just going to put here testing. I've just put a few lines of testing just to see what happens there. I'm guessing these are selecting, they're just not showing that they're selecting. So let me just use flowers as the example. Any blockers? This form is broken. And I'm going to submit. So thank you for checking in. So here we, you can see I asked it before I deployed the code, because this system has migrations. I asked it for a manual SQL, so ignore that. So I've just typed out those notes. So I just explained about the CSS error, the smiley faces being missing. I mentioned that it gives me no tasks on my previous working day and explain what our working days are. Finally, on the focus page, clicking on the checkboxes don't do anything. And I suggested they need to tell us what project it's on. So we click go and we wait a couple of minutes. Okay, so it says it's done the update. I upload the files now and test again. So I'll just speed run through this and just say yes on them all, because I'll reset them afterwards. Okay, so we made some progress. So slightly unhappy just breaks outside the box. Okay, so this time it gave me a bit of a prompt. I think I probably clocked to some other tasks though, so I will test that in a second. So we'll go test. But it is good progress. Yeah, so I checked, and these are the tasks that were clocked to on that Friday, but I worked over the weekend, so it has missed those. Once again, we're just going to go test, and upcoming tasks. I'm not really sure. Oh, so this one's just a template, so we need to exclude templates. That's easy. We will do exactly that. Let's say I'm going to do that task. Again, clicking on the checkbox didn't do anything, so that needs amending. I do like it, all of this. And then test blocker and submit. Okay, let's also test the new report that should be there. Why am I not seeing the new report? Not seeing the report. Okay, we run the test again. Test. We'll go for a test here. Sounds great, because now it's brought in the thing that I did at the weekend. I forgot to tell it not to do templates, that's on me. We will do for test on there. Just in the blocker feature. Okay, so first thing to check really is the report. So we're going to go to reports, and we have a new team happiness report. So obviously only I've entered it at the moment. It's defaulted on the month, so we'll be able to see mood over time and correctly have the time there. Let's go to daily stand-ups. And it'll default to today, of course. So achieved in my last working day. It should be since your last working day. Focus for today. Our focus tasks are those three. And tasks you got to those ones. Sounds good. And then we got the block on here as well. Yeah, that all seems pretty good. The final stage, of course, is to deploy your finished code or working code to the live server. or the dev site if you're using a dev site, and then of course commit your code. So we've already ignored the files that we don't need, the Kiro ones. We just add a decent description here. So this is our new checker, and daily stand up. I'm going to commit the files, and I'm going to push to the server. And then finally, we just need to merge the branch. So we're going to come on to here. We're going to create a pull request. Move this over here. Daily stand up's fine. We're going to create that pull request. We're going to merge the pull request. And that is done. So in here we can go back to that main branch. I'm actually going to bring my changes to main. It's only my ignore. And they're going to fetch the origin. And it should find those commits that we've just done. So just going to pull those. And now I have the original version, the main version of the site, but with all those new features added to the repo. The final stage would be to check how many credits were used during the process and add those onto the task. I'll show you that in a separate video.